Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Earth Day Festival today. My name is Jessica Watson. I'm the Executive Director of Earth Day 365, which hosts the Virtual Earth Day. And we are so pleased to have Catherine Werner with us today, the Director of Sustainability for the City of St. Louis. Catherine, thank you so much for your time today.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. So again, thanks for joining me today during the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to briefly cover three things. First, an overview of the global City Nature Challenge. Second, why citizen science efforts are being utilized to advance sustainability goals of the City of St. Louis through its Urban Vitality and Ecology initiative. And third, how the St. Louis region is preparing to participate in the 2020 City Nature Challenge, including where you can find helpful resources. I'll be sure to save a few minutes at the end to answer questions, so please type any questions you have in the chat box. If we run out of time or you're watching a recording of this presentation, feel free to send me an email with your question about City Nature Challenge. First, some background on the City Nature Challenge. Although it's called the City Nature Challenge, it's actually broader than just cities and was started by two conservation organizations. The competition started in California as a contest between staff at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco and staff at the Los Angeles County Natural History Museum. They set up a challenge to see who could find and record the most wild species over a 4-day period. They used April of 2016. It was so successful that the following year, they opened the competition up to another 15 cities in the United States. Again, success led to expansion. In 2018, the City Nature Challenge organizers opened up the competition to cities around the world. 2018 is when the St. Louis metro region participated for the first time in the City Nature Challenge. The City of St. Louis partnered with the Missouri Botanical Garden, St. Louis Zoo, Academy of Sciences, and the Missouri Department of Conservation to organize an effort across the metropolitan area. In both 2018 and 2019, the St. Louis region's team had a really strong showing. Out of the 159 cities and regions that participated in the worldwide 2019 City Nature Challenge, the St. Louis metro region ranked 13th in number of participants, 22nd in number of species observations, and 23rd in number of species identified. That is the global top 15% in each of the three competition categories. Closer to home, it was even more impressive. In the Midwest, the St. Louis region's team was #1 in all three categories, edging out Chicago, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Nashville, and Omaha. So what is the objective of the Global City Nature Challenge? It's to get people to act as citizen scientists by making a species observation and uploading a picture of the species to a database that portrays the information on a map. I think the easiest way to do this is to download an app to your smartphone, but you can also download it to your computer and use a camera to take photos. The free app we recommend is called iNaturalist, and I will point you in the direction of a number of useful tools and guidance for using iNaturalist in a few minutes. Now, how does all of this relate to the City of St. Louis sustainability plan? Urban sustainability for the city is triple bottom line. In our orientation, we seek to harmonize people, their well-being, and their prosperity with the environment. Some like to say it's a manner of balancing people with profit and planet. The city is made up, of course, of thousands of people who live, work, learn, and play here. It is also home to thousands of flora and fauna species that dwell or migrate through the city's urban blue and green spaces. All of us form a complex urban ecosystem, and we are interconnected and even interdependent upon each other to be healthy and vibrant. Nature needs people, and people need nature. There's a large body of research that says that when people connect with nature, they realize benefits. Examples include improved health and well-being, such as through reduced stress and anxiety, lower prevalence of chronic disease, and faster healing, and better educational outcomes, such as improvements on standardized test scores, faster learning, and greater retention of information. So with all these benefits available to people who connect with nature, it makes sense for the city's sustainability program to make a special effort to promote these outcomes. The primary ways the city does this is by addressing quantity, accessibility, and quality of nature. The more green spaces and natural resources that there are in the urban core will generally mean there are greater opportunities for people to find ways to connect with nature. Green spaces can be in parks, trails, private and community gardens, green roofs, vertical living walls, landscaped areas, medians, balcony containers, street trees, etc. There are lots of ways to bring nature into the city. In the city of St. Louis, we're fortunate to have the arch grounds in 109 city parks, one in nearly every neighborhood. Some, like Forest Park, are large enough to include prairie or woodland habitat for wild plant and animal species. Other parks are smaller or have fewer native plantings, but the number and their location make it pretty easy for people to get to a green space, even if it's just a bench on a grassy area. In fact, a national conservation organization, the Trust for Public Land, conducts an annual park score assessment of cities across the country. The park score measures a number of things, including the percentage of residents who can access a park, trail, or green space within a 10-minute walk. The national city average is 55% of people who can walk to a green space within 10 minutes. But in St. Louis City, 95% of residents can access parks, green spaces, or trails within a 10-minute walk. So it's great to have a lot of green spaces, and it's also important that they are geographically distributed in a way that is equitable and offers accessibility to so many people in the city. We know that not all parks and green spaces are of the same quality. Some are just grass, some have fitness equipment, walking paths, mature trees, and other amenities. Not all green spaces have rich biological diversity. Biodiverse areas tend to offer better habitat and perform higher ecological functions. So the ideal would be to have extensive blue and green spaces that support biodiversity and that are 100% accessible to people within a 10-minute walk. The more people tune into nature, the higher their ecological intelligence, or ecoliteracy, will be. Ecoliteracy is a way to measure people's perceptions and our knowledge about nature. Trees, birds, flowers, butterflies. The more we observe them, even if just casually, the greater ecoliteracy we will likely have. And the more connections with nature, the more benefits. We don't have to know a scientific name or have a deep understanding of biology to be ecoliterate. Let's take monarch gardening, for example. The city launched Milkweeds for Monarchs, the St. Louis Butterfly Project, in 2014, in an urban conservation effort to create butterfly habitat in a way where people would connect with nature. More than 400 Monarch Gardens have been planted in the city of St. Louis since the launch, and many, many people continue to delight in supporting and experiencing the monarch life cycle throughout the year. To measure ecoliteracy, we conducted a survey before and after promoting Milkweeds for Monarchs. We called it a Connecting to Nature survey. Among others, the survey asked, what plant do monarch butterflies need to survive? You know the answer, right? Less than half the respondents knew the correct answer in 2014, but nearly 3/4 knew the correct answer in 2018. This is just one way we can see how ecoliteracy has improved in the city in just one project in a short amount of time. Citizen science is a way for people to connect with nature and to improve their ecoliteracy both. It is also an opportunity to gather important biological information that can be used by researchers, planners, land managers, and others to make informed decisions. Last summer, a private apartment complex near Grand Center had started to trim trees when someone noticed that baby birds had fallen to the ground from a nest. It turned out that there were hundreds of nests of migrating wading birds like herons and egrets in the trees along these two city blocks. Here are some pictures that I took of the nesting birds when I heard about this urban phenomenon last summer. Tracking species observations like the nesting birds with an app such as iNaturalist will help build an urban biodiversity inventory that can be used by the city or others such as researchers. You can go to the city's iNaturalist page and see some 17,000 species observations that people have made all around the city already. The City Nature Challenge is usually a 4-day competition among cities to find, observe, and document as many wild species as possible. But with the need for physical and social distancing during the time of the novel coronavirus, there are limited options for safe exploration of parks, trails, and green spaces. As such, the City Nature Challenge this year has dialed back the city versus city competition aspect. Still, the results will be tracked on a global City Nature Challenge website. Even more, it is a great way for people to connect with nature, enjoy its many benefits, and help contribute to the region's growing biodiversity database on iNaturalist. We need you to participate. The Global City Nature Challenge runs this Friday, April 24th through May 3rd, with the first half focused on making species observations, such as essentially taking photos of wild plant and animal species. The second half gives people a chance to upload photos that were taken during the first 4 days and make species identifications. Now, speaking as someone who is a bit technology challenged, I will say that iNaturalist is pretty darn easy to use. I predict that if you invest just 5 minutes in playing around with the iNaturalist app, you'll be hooked. It's a great way to learn about nature, to become more ecoliterate, to serve as a citizen scientist, and to contribute to regional biodiversity data collection efforts. Most of all, it's a great way to connect with nature and have fun outdoors. The St. Louis City Nature Challenge team has assembled a number of resources to help you with iNaturalist and to give you City Nature Challenge pointers. If you go to the city's sustainability website and look for the City Nature Challenge page, you will see a collection of guidance videos, documents, hyperlinks, and even frequently asked questions about participating in the City Nature Challenge during the coronavirus pandemic. You may be wondering how to participate when you are sheltering in place, but this is still a great opportunity to explore what I like to call nearby nature. What is on your front porch or in your backyard? Do you have a neighborhood park you can visit? What about the tree lawn outside where you live? All wild species observations count and are important. Last year, during the City Nature Challenge 4-day period, nearly 800 observers in the 17-county St. Louis metro region made nearly 14,000 observations of nearly 1,600 different species. There are many ways to approach the City Nature Challenge, and here are 3. First, simply focus on the 4-day species observation period that starts Friday. Get outside, take plenty of photos of trees, plants, birds, insects, and animals. You can try to identify the species or learn when others identify the photos you have taken. If you are someone who likes to go on nature hunts, or maybe you want to seek some prize species finds, take a look at the field ID guides we have assembled. Here are the 6 taxonomic groups the St. Louis region has been focusing on. Woody plants, which includes trees, shrubs, and vines, herbaceous plants, such as perennials and annuals, invertebrates, such as butterflies, bees, and dragonflies, herptiles, including amphibians and reptiles, birds, including songbirds, ducks, and wading birds, and mammals, including deer, coyote, and bats. For 5 different habitat types, the field IDs feature 2 species that are likely to be viewable at the end of April in St. Louis, including several uncommon or gold star species. For the biodiversity enthusiast, consider downloading the city's list of surrogate species, or those that we believe would be one particularly good indicator of urban biodiversity. At the recommendation of regional biology experts, we have established a set of urban biodiversity surrogate species to track their presence and absence over time. Searches for surrogate species will be particularly helpful for building the city's urban biodiversity inventory, both during the City Nature Challenge and throughout the year. If you can't get outside, you can still make observations inside, such as by looking out through windows. There are plenty of opportunities to explore nearby nature. The St. Louis City Nature Challenge webpage has tips for viewing wildlife and special suggestions for exploring nature at home. I hope you will participate in the City Nature Challenge this coming weekend, but my bigger hope is that you will find ways to connect with nature using iNaturalist as a citizen scientist or otherwise throughout the year. Especially in this time of increased stress, anxiety, and health challenges, I encourage you to find your nearby nature spots and let nature nurture you. Thank you for your time and interest today. I hope you will be well, and I'm extending best wishes for a happy, healthy Earth Day celebration. So now I'm going to open up the chat box and see what questions folks might have. Okay. I hear that from Carol Brayford that the birds that I was mentioning in the Grand Center area, actually on Olive Street, are maybe back this year. They are migrating through, so that's great to hear, Carol. Okay, someone has asked who makes the species identifications? The species identifications are made by all of us, citizen scientists. Oh, the observation, sorry, the identification. So after you have used your phone to maybe taken a picture of an observation of a species, it is uploaded to iNaturalist. And you're gonna have to go to the website to learn how to download the app, how to make the observations, as I don't have time to go into all of those details right now. But once they're there, a couple of really fun things happen. First of all, the iNaturalist software, it's sort of like magic to someone like me, automatically suggests 10 different species that potentially your picture represents. And you can look and say, oh yes, it looks like that one. And then you can try and identify it that way. Then someone who actually does know those answers for sure will come back within the greater community, and it does not have to be within St. Louis. It could be someone in Colorado or France who can look at the observations that have been posted on iNaturalist, and who, if they know the answer, they can make the identification. So it's a great way for you to learn if your initial identification was accurate, or if someone knows a little bit more than you do in that regard. Bob has mentioned that the Friday 11:30 a.m. program through the Earth Day Festival is specifically on the St. Louis citizen science and training on how to use iNaturalist. So there is another way for you to get details on how to become more familiar with iNaturalist. It's a good thing to maybe check out the links on the webpage here that are posted at the St. Louis Sustainability webpage on the City Nature Challenge. There's some couple of 2-minute tutorials and some documents with graphics that will help you get oriented. And certainly see if you can check out one of the trainings online. But really the very best way, in my opinion, is to download it to your phone and just try it out, practice. And you will learn after a few tries just how easy it is. Someone has asked, what were the rarest species finds that have come through City Nature Challenge in St. Louis in the past few years? Now, actually, I gathered the most common or the most frequent species finds in the past couple of years, and I didn't track today the rarest species, but I can tell you that in St. Louis City, the most frequent sightings last year were things like the common earthworm, the common slider, American robin, May apple, flowering dogwood, and eastern cottontail. So those are some of the things that were abundant last year. And you can go to the 2019 City Nature Challenge webpage. It is a static document, but it serves as a moment, a snapshot in time of what was viewable during last year's City Nature Challenge. And it will show you the list of the many different species that were identified by people all over the 17-county region. And it'll be interesting to see if this year the same species pop up or if our weather patterns or other things are different. Can we use iNaturalist outside of the City Nature Challenge timeframe? Absolutely, please, thank you. I've been trying to encourage this. If you're someone who gets motivated by deadlines, it would be great for you to focus on the City Nature Challenge. We've got a 4-day window, Friday through Monday, where those observations can be made, another 4 days to identify those observations, and we'll get credit. But of course, not all species are active in April. And frankly, with all of us being a little bit limited into where we can go and when, there will hopefully be more opportunities throughout the year to observe many, many additional species. And that will give us a much broader, comprehensive snapshot of where species are, flora and fauna throughout the region, throughout the year. And so we hope that you will use iNaturalist anytime that you feel inclined. My recommendation is to start today. Get outside and just do some practice rounds and download the free iNaturalist app and play around with it. You'll set up a login and you'll start playing with it. And by the time the City Nature Challenge actually starts on Friday, you'll be a pro, or at least enough of a pro to make a real significant impact. And as I say, going forward, this is something that you can continue to do and contribute to your own knowledge and fun, but also the region's biodiversity database. So I really hope that people will continue to do that. Any other questions? All right. I'll give folks a moment to just sort of enter any last minute questions, and I'm going to stop sharing here my screen and ask if any last minute questions. And I'll ask the Earth Day organizers if we should wrap up just a couple minutes early.
Sure, thank you so much, Catherine. It was a great presentation, and we really appreciate all of the information. And I think it's fine to wrap up a few minutes early.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you out there in nature.
Bye-bye.